I'm Christine. Welcome to the Recovering Perfectionist Podcast, where I empower you to develop sustainable habits, challenge society, and take messy action. It's time to align with the universe for the full human experience and redefine what it really means to be successful.
It's too good, the secret is out and wow.
Welcome back to the Recovering Perfectionist Podcast. I am here today with Laura Cantu. She is one of our practitioners for the dance wellness community, and she is a holistic freedom coach. Welcome, Laura.
Thank you so much. I'm happy to be here.
Yay! Laura, we're going to start like we do with every practitioner. What do you specialize in?
I specialize in helping people see something different in their lives so their story can change.
I love that. I love that so much. And how long have you been doing this?
I've been doing this for my whole life. I don't know.
That's
It's
true.
naturally
I mean,
part of who I am.
truly you have been. Truly you have been. And who do you specifically help? Like, who is your target client? What kind of qualities does this person have that allows you to help them?
The kind of people I help are the kind of people who are ready for change. They want change and they're willing to change. They're willing to see and know things that they've never been able or willing to see and know before. And they're willing to change things as well.
And you help them do that
I
through
do.
different mediums.
I help them do that through looking at their lives and making one tiny shift at a time so that they become more aware of what they're doing to themselves and how they're interacting and living in the world.
You guys, we have been introducing one by one every month our practitioners. And as of right now, Laura is our last one to introduce, which is very, very exciting because we have such an incredible team right now ready to help you, as well as we've started our ambassadorship. So we're going to discuss so many amazing things today. But first, Laura, I want you to introduce yourself and just let me know a little bit about like you do so many things, right? So we're going to try to like niche it down, but I want people to understand what areas that you have focused on in your life.
Okay, yes. Well, I would like to start by saying that I have my master's in Oriental Medicine and I had a thriving practice for several years.
Yeah.
And in Oriental Medicine, we look at a being as a whole. We don't just look at physical symptoms, we look at energetic, spiritual, emotional, all sides of the being because all of it goes into the whole mix of who someone is. So that's the first thing. I also have been a dancer with my husband, Louis Barr. We competed in Argentine Tango and swing and hustle and all these fun dances, which I really loved. And then I'm also an author and a writer, and I help people write books, and I ghostwrite books, and I help people publish and edit and all kinds of things. Um, and then I also have been working very hard on myself for many years. I grew up questioning everything and looking inward at myself to see how my emotions, my thoughts, my actions affected my reality.
Oh.
And I almost had to do that because I had to save my life, and Western medicine couldn't help me. So I did it on my own with guidance from special friends that I have, and a lot of hard work and a lot of facing things that I didn't want to face.
Oh.
And now I have healed so many relationships that people, they bet against us that they would never be healed. And now
Yes.
my relationships are amazing. And, classic psychology would have said there's no chance it could ever be amazing.
Right. Right.
And I healed the relationship with myself too.
Yeah, I think that's the most important. I love that was a great introduction, by the way, because it's exactly what we're gonna get into. As you can see, Laura has so many diverse talents and she's done so much work in so many different areas. And through the through line for me, which is what we were just talking about a little bit off camera, for you through this whole process has been you are able to help people reflect and go through incredible transitional phases through all of these mediums, whether it be dance, or medicine or book writing or whatever it
Or
is,
art. I forgot to
or
mention I'm an
art.
artist too.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hmm.
There's so many different mediums that you use, but through each one, it's not just you're doing the act of that activity, you're actually going through therapeutic processes with whether it be yourself or with the other people around you. And I think that just goes to show the power that you hold in all the work you've done on yourself through the years, but also just kind of the energy, like what we say, there's some people in this world that they're just meant to guide people. And that clearly is you. So,
Thank you. Thank you.
yeah, definitely.
Yes, we are
So,
not meant to be alone on this journey.
right,
Mhm.
right. And great part in why we have this community is because we cannot heal ourselves by ourselves. We
Now,
need help.
there are some people that would argue that, but if you look at how we're made, and how our brains are wired and how our nervous systems are wired, like there's evidence that shows, for instance, that people who have thyroid issues can be around someone with a healthy thyroid, and the frequencies will vibrate together and help heal the people with the unhealthy thyroid. So
I love
our
that.
physical bodies, our mental bodies, our emotional bodies, all kinds of everything about us is
Yeah.
meant to work in unison with each other.
I love that. Well, I mean, that's kind of my mantra is like
Hmm.
whoever I want to emulate or whatever, industry I'm trying to get into, I try to hang out with those people, try to, surround yourself with the people you want to be most like. Um, so I mean, I can imagine that it probably works in the physical sense as well.
Yes. Physical, emotional, mental, all of it. Because
Yeah,
we are where we are and who we are because of our own perspectives and the energy that we've held. But getting out of where we've been, getting out of, if we've built our place and we're in quicksand, how do you get out of the quicksand yourself, by yourself?
right.
You don't.
There, yeah, you don't. Yeah.
Hmm.
So you've discussed a little bit, we touched on Western medicine. You do a lot better job at saying it without resentment. Like I can't do that yet. I'm not there yet because Western medicine for me just puts a thorn in my craw. It's really it does, like you said, you helped me to realize. So for those of you who don't know and haven't made the connection yet, Louis Barr is my dad, which means that Laura is my stepmother, is my stepmom. And so what we do is we have definitely healed our relationship, huge part to what Laura has done as well. And she has helped me through the birth of my son and so much conversation and realization around what is going on in my life and how I can go into this next chapter. And so a big part of that has been Western medicine just getting it wrong. But you've helped me to understand that they give the test results and then we do what we need to do in Eastern medicine or holistic functional medicine to to heal. But we need to know what's wrong first. And it reminds me of like my husband who will go get a diagnostic on the car at the most expensive place, and they'll do it for free, but then he takes it home and he does all the work and labor on it because he knows how to fix it more affordably and better. And so Western medicine for me, I mean, how many people have come to you and said, they can't figure out what's wrong with me. They've done blood test after blood test. They've done MRIs and checks and all the things, but I still feel like something doesn't feel right. I mean, if you had $1 for every time someone told you that, you wouldn't need to work. Like,
So I want to take the opportunity to talk about the different kinds of medicines and the different approaches. Western medicine has really amazing things about it. When you're in a
yes,
pickle, Western medicine can really help you out. Emergency care, and
yes.
some people will do better with the traditional treatments that Western medicine has to offer. And the same thing is true for Eastern medicine or any kind of medicine. Every single person is uniquely different,
Mhm.
and what their belief systems are and how they are as a whole, their belief systems they carry are how these treatments affect them. So, someone who has wonderful experiences with Western medicine, that's a perfect place for them to go because they believe in it, their family believes in it, they, and it will work for them. And whenever, like, I didn't grow up going to the doctor very much. We just did a lot of natural things at home. So, of course, that's what resonates with me more.
Right.
And what it comes down to, what everything comes down to, is we're powerful, powerful beings and individuals, and we don't know who we are. And as we discover who we are, we can see truth in everything and we can see the opposite in everything as well. It's just what is your knowing? What is your perspective?
Yes.
And your
And
perception.
and this is why Laura is the holistic freedom coach and not me. Because because I'm still not there yet. I agree with what you're saying completely because I know people who Western medicine works for them from A to Z. And
Mhm.
I think that's fantastic. Like I want that's what it's supposed to do. But you're right. When you've been raised, it depends on what you've been raised with and how you feel resonates with you. And that's where we get into more of like an energetic frequency, would you say?
Yes, and if we also look at genetics,
Mm,
genetics play a big role, and not just genetics, but the things that our ancestors pass on to us.
yeah,
Some people have extremely sensitive systems to pharmaceuticals, while other people it works great for them.
yeah,
And if you look at the family lineage, you will see, you can often see, not all the time, but you can see those patterns as well. Same thing with herbs. We have Chinese medicine with Chinese herbs, but a lot of times I still try to use herbs grown in America for the American body because
right. That's
they're
what we're around.
the Asian body and the Asian history and everything that they are doing in Asia, it's very specific to how that culture thinks and the emotions that they've carried through their generations. And America has something different.
Right,
So we may use LDM 100, for instance, it's an herb here in Western medicine because it's grown here. It's grown in the desert versus something grown in Asia
right.
for certain, to treat certain things.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. I I want to discuss a little bit about how you help like me, for example, or, so many of you've had so many people come to you, in the last couple of years, discussing just changes in their life, trauma healing, rewriting limiting beliefs, healing your inner child, all of these things that you have done within yourself that again, as you've told me, it's an ongoing process. So we're never done.
Hmm.
Which is both exciting because
Always.
it's like we're not dead yet, but at the same time, I'm like, oh man, how long is this going to go on? So, I get really patience is not my middle name, but I'm working on it. But you there is so much to, I think a big part of what I deal with as well is the generational differences. As millennials, I think we discovered you're Gen X, is that correct?
Yes, yes,
Gen
I'm
X. So
Gen
you're
X.
right in the
Hmm.
middle of me and my parents. And
Hmm.
so we've, which is funny because you always say, yeah, our generation always gets left behind or like forgotten. And so, but Gen X and millennials actually have a lot more in common than we think, which is very interesting. And it's a lot of like waking up and realizing that the way our grandparents were and the belief systems they had no longer serve us in the world we're growing up in.
Hmm.
Can you speak
Well,
on
not
that?
all of it. Not all of it
Not
does.
all of it, but you know what I mean.
The very first thing I want to say to that, because that's a belief system that you're
Yeah.
carrying that I don't necessarily share. Sorry.
No, that's okay.
But the biggest thing that if we can remember, usually every problem we have, especially in relationships with other people, is us
Mm-hmm.
getting in our own way. It's
Mm,
us tied to a belief system that is underneath that is the fear of loss, some kind of fear, the fear of not being
connection,
safe.
maybe.
Yeah, the fear of not being safe, the fear of loss of a relationship,
Mm-hmm.
loss of safety, loss of identity. And whenever I say we get in our own way, most of us are attached to an identity.
Mm,
And that identity is what's getting in our way because we think we're this one thing when we're actually not. Most people don't know who they really are. They only know how they think they are
Right.
and what they want to portray to other people. And why does a human being want to portray something to someone else? It can be because we need connection with someone else and we enjoy love and connection
Acceptance.
and so, yeah, intimacy
Yeah.
with other people. But the only reason to really have an identity is if we fear that we alone with not being or having to be something or someone else is not
It's
enough.
not enough. Yeah. There's
The only
value
reason
in
to have
that.
an identity.
Right. That's what it feels like. We talk a lot about that, Laura, in so many lives that we do with a lot of the other practitioners. That identity piece comes up so much with I'm a dancer. That is
Yes.
something that our community just attaches themselves to so much. And our first ambassador, Andrew, that was a huge part. There's so many expectations that come along with being a dancer and how you have to present yourself and the professionalism and this, that, and the other, that he didn't allow himself to have that vulnerability. But so many of us feel, whether it be I'm a dancer, or I am so and so's daughter, or I am so and so's wife or husband, or I am a baker, or I am a lawyer, or
Yes.
whatever it is. There's always like follow-up questions with whatever comes next, and then
Yes.
we attach ourselves to those belief systems of what that society has said those things are supposed to be. And so for
Yes.
you to bring that up is very interesting.
Yes. And the thing that identity does is it attaches us to non-freedom. This is why I call myself a freedom coach, because we're beings of change and we
Mm,
have the right and we have uh, people don't know this and they don't live this way, but we innately have the right to change in every single moment.
yeah.
And whenever we hold a view against someone else, for instance, we're talking about the older generation and how they did things.
Right.
Anytime we hold something like that, we're holding it against ourselves at the same time. And we have the freedom and ability to change in this moment. If you're not happy with who you are and where you are and what's happening, don't move a single step forward. Don't bring you're vibrating at a certain vibration and a certain frequency. And if you continue without changing that frequency, you're just perpetuating that into the next moment and into the next moment and into the next moment,
Right.
which you're locking yourself into not no change.
Yeah.
Does that make
But see,
sense?
that's new. That's so going back to what I was saying before about like kind of, you know, rewriting some of those belief systems from our grandparents and our parents, because they grew up with, you choose something in college, you decide to do that thing becomes who you are, and you do it for 40 years and then you retire. And
Yes,
that,
but the difference is
yes,
this. You don't have to live the way that your parents and your grandparents taught you to. But if you go against them with resistance or any kind of negative emotion, you're still trapped in that same cycle. You're still carrying a belief system that's
yeah.
false, making you think that you have to go against someone for something.
Right. So it's not
No.
a matter of going against it, but the world that we're living in now has allowed us to do what you're saying, is create that change. That if we
Mhm.
feel like maybe what we went to school for and got our degree in is not what we feel
Yeah.
aligns with us anymore, then let's do something different. And that is there's a lot more opportunities now because of the internet and so many things out there that we
Yes.
can do. And that is definitely a new shift.
And that's something I did early on. I
Yeah.
went to art school, I went to massage school, I went to nursing school, I went to Chinese medicine school. I mean, I've been to so much school.
Yeah.
And everybody's like, "Well, aren't you going to use your degree?" And I'm like, "No, I just went because I wanted to learn."
Right. Right.
You're going to dance? What?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
That's what you're gonna do. I love it. I love it. Well, our whole community can relate to you on that, because we all have chosen dance at one time or another over
Mhm.
something else. So, but yeah, I totally understand where you're coming from and what that means. And so allowing yourself, like you said, that change is allowing you to not feel stuck in one thing for a certain number of time.
Yes, because we have identity and then we also have habits.
Mhm.
And habits are we're on autopilot.
Right.
As humans, we are on a system of autopilot that keeps us from being free. I mean, how many people think, oh, I have to be there on time? Oh, I have to wake up to an alarm clock. Do you really?
Hmm.
Why? Why do you have to? Is, well, other people, okay? As soon as you mention other people, you're out of balance. And it doesn't mean that you don't love them, but if we lived in a society where we loved each other instead of held each other to these false belief systems and these false, if they're not on time, that means they don't love me. Not that you really think that, but underneath the surface, that's what's playing
Right.
in your mind. If all of us didn't have these records that are broken playing in the bottom of our mind, people would be like, "Oh,
Hmm.
I'm running late." "Oh, no problem. Come on whenever you're ready. I know you love me. There's no
Yeah, yeah,
problem
yeah.
here." Do you know what I'm saying? It would be a
Sure.
completely different
I think
society.
it, right. I think it pairs with goal setting, achieving, right? Because a lot of our dancers are high achievers. And so it comes to a place where, well, if you want to be a champion, you need to be on time for your coaching, and those types of things. And so I agree with you to some extent because there are certain things that I'm like, well,
Let me differentiate this for you.
yeah.
When you're feeling pressure to get to a dance studio, you're out of alignment.
But
When
if
you're
you're excited,
excited to
yeah,
be there and it's your next step in life, you are in total alignment. So it
totally.
doesn't mean that you can't be on time. It means how are you being on time? How
Right.
are you showing up? That's what makes the difference.
That's fantastic. Yeah, that's exactly what I needed to hear. No, seriously, because you're absolutely right. It's like if you do have these goals and you are in alignment with those goals, then you're not going to feel like it's a struggle. You're going to feel like you're excited to do these things. It's not going to feel like you spent 8 hours in a studio. You're going to love every minute of it. Well, not maybe not every single minute of it, but you're going to love the majority of it. And that when those I think that's where we get lost a little bit is we don't realize when our goals tend to shift.
Yes, because again, we
Hmm.
get stuck in an identity, stuck in a
Right.
pattern, stuck in these habitual thinking in the brain, not
Yeah.
living from the heart. Our brain is made to protect us, to keep us safe,
Yeah.
and it is very comfortable with what's familiar. And whenever we want
Yeah.
to push forward, into what is not familiar, it feels great, and we're like, I'm doing this, and you have your motivation, but then you reach a plateau and you reach something, and then it tends to just you get hooked in this pattern in this habit and you don't even realize you're doing it
Yeah.
until later you're like, "Oh man, I'm doing these new habits. I feel great. I feel great. I'm doing these lessons." And then it becomes automation.
Mm.
Automation. Automation because we're unaware because our perception has now changed to perspective where we have a solid perspective now on this is what's going to happen as
Yeah.
opposed to remaining aware and in the moment. Is this really what is going to get me my greatest joy
Hmm.
right now?
Right. Yeah. Yeah, that's and the I see what I love about what you do with people is you're forcing them to ask themselves the questions that we never really ask ourselves. And like how am I showing up? Am I happy in this moment? Like these questions that I think from just speaking for myself, especially when I was in my 20s, if I asked myself those questions, it would force me to stop the momentum I had going and question everything I was doing. And
Yes.
and that's terrifying. Like you said, it's a sense of security why we do it and why we mask ourselves with these habits and these, habitual behaviors. However, uh a lot of times we don't have the answers to those questions. We have to That's where the work starts, essentially, the work, as everyone calls it, that we are all trying to figure out what the work really is. And, but it's a matter of understanding how we are able to slowly get through those, questions, finding answers, but also being able to keep some momentum that we're building. Because you could answer all those questions and then realize, oh, I'm actually in the right place,
Yes, you can.
right?
And you're going to know it because we have a guidance system. We have our
Yeah.
emotional guidance system, as many of you have heard.
Yeah.
Have you ever felt this sense of great peace where everything was okay in the world? Have you ever felt that? where there's nothing you have to do, there's nothing you have to be. Even your biggest problems, you were like, I don't know why that was such a big problem. Have you ever
Hmm.
felt that even one time in your life?
Yeah, I have.
That is the truth of who we are.
Yeah,
That
that
is who we're
is
made to
that.
be.
But like that particular instance of where that was and how that was, I just don't know if like that I can't maintain that when I'm working.
You
I can't
can.
is right.
You
That's what's
can.
really hard. That's what we're discussing in our sessions too, is
Yes.
that I'm like, I don't know how to maintain that all the time. Like there are times where I'm just going to be doing something to get to a bigger goal. And there are times where, and that doesn't mean I don't feel aligned in that because I do love what
Mm-hmm.
I do.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
However, there's certain um qualities and certain, time restrictions that come along with achieving that goal.
Yes, I understand because we
Yeah,
live in the 3D world.
right.
We are these beings that's who we are. We are this peace. We are this love. We are this being that is actually naturally in sync and in flow with everything that's for our greatest good.
Yeah.
But then our identities and our habits and those fears that come up, we're on a line and they throw us off just a little tiny degree. And then we get on this road and we keep going over there. And then all of a sudden, we're really far away again. And
Mm,
this is when people get depressed and get really unhappy and they need change to help get them back to here again. But if you're
yeah.
constantly making yourself aware, then you're doing this kind of thing with your center. And when you get, like, when you
Right.
first
Like
start doing
checking in
this,
with yourself.
yes, when you
Yeah.
first start checking into yourself, you're way out here.
Right.
But the closer you get, then you're out here. And then you'll start feeling it when you're here. You're like, oh, something's really off. When over here before, like, for instance, I'm going to give you, for instance,
Yeah.
um, my relationship with my husband. When I would let things go and let things go and let things go and not mention something that was bothering me, and it would really pile up. And I would have one thing after another, after another, after another, until I was finally like, I can't do this anymore. I need to talk to him.
Right. And then you just explode. Yeah.
Yes. But the more I worked on myself and the more we worked on our relationship, now the tiniest little thing that's off, it feels big to me. And I'm like, honey, I really need to talk to you about this because
Right.
there's no way I can go back to piling that up again.
Right.
Because
You
I
don't let
know
it
the difference
fester.
now, because I know what it feels like and I'm aware. Once you wake up, you know what you know.
That's it. It becomes easier
Yes. It's like,
to realize what's not working.
yes. It's
Yeah.
like when you've watched black and white TV your entire life and then you
Yeah.
suddenly seen color TV, you know the difference.
There's no going back. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, totally.
That's what it's like.
I completely
Uh,
agree. Yes, I love all of that. It makes, again, it's one of those easier said than done kind of things because again, the work and all of the things, but that's not to say that it can't be done. I think what I love so much about what you do is allowing us to do it in increments.
yes.
So we're not, because when you really look at what, like, again, you don't know what you don't know, and then you start to realize what you don't know, and you're like, oh my gosh, this is overwhelming, right? It's like, how do we fix all these things at the same time? And this affects this, affects this, affects this. And it's like, basically, I have to fix everything. Otherwise, it's a domino effect of disaster. And
Yeah.
that's not really how it is. You do
No.
not explain it to me in that way, but that's how it feels inside sometimes.
Yes, I
And
understand.
right, it's very overwhelming because that's also how our brain is trying to process it all, and that
Yes.
gets really exhausting. And so what you're doing is you're allowing us to kind of come down to a belief system or something that maybe, I mean, with us we were chatting about so many different things and it all kind of stemmed from one belief system, which
Yes.
is sometimes, like you said, what tends to happen.
Yes, and we learn the way we're going to be for most of our lives before we're the age of 7. It's we're programmed already. And this
Yeah.
is just a deprogramming. This is just remembering who you truly are versus who you're
Yeah.
programmed to be. But a lot of times, I'll mention one little tiny thing and you'll see how it plays out in your entire life. And then you're like, I don't know anything because of this
Yeah.
one tiny little shift.
Right.
And that's what we want, though. We want the questioning. We want that to stimulate the new awareness that of your truth versus
Right.
this mask you've been wearing this whole time and thinking it's yours. and it
Yeah,
never was yours. You just tried it
right.
on for a while.
Totally. I want to chat. We had talked a little bit about understanding versus understanding.
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 Yes.
And this hit in one of our last sessions, and I was like, oh my gosh, we have to talk about this on camera because this is so relatable to so many people. Can you elaborate a little bit on that,
Yes. Yes, I
please?
can. Understanding is when you stand under the knowledge or the opinion or what someone else says. So you're standing on something that is outside of you. Understanding is when you look at the world and your knowledge comes from inside. So you know how you're feeling. I'm just going to give an
Yeah,
example.
I was like, I think we're gonna need some examples here.
Yeah. You know how you're feeling when,
Mhm.
let's say you meet someone and you feel like, "Oh, I don't want to be around that person. They feel horrible." But then all of your friends are like, "Man, they're so great. That person is just the most amazing person that I've ever met."
Mm,
And you're like, "Oh, maybe I should like them too. Maybe there's something wrong with how I'm seeing the world." So you start adopting you start standing under their knowledge, under their perception, under their experiences with this person, and you drop your guard and you start letting not just drop your guard, you start working to let them into your life and giving them chances and being like, "Oh, yeah, they are amazing." But then something happens and they prove who they initially your initial knowing in the very beginning, they prove that you were right,
mm.
and then you're like you blame them for being who you knew that they were, but you're the one that got in the relationship with them in the first place.
Right. You adopted everyone else's viewpoint of them.
Yes. Yeah.
So, okay, so my brain is going everywhere at the moment. I'm thinking like
And that's how
you,
blame comes in too,
yeah,
and unforgiveness and all that, when it's really you made the choice.
right. So, because I talk a lot about society's perception of things versus I've always felt a little bit like an outsider of society, feeling
Mhm.
like, well, none of that relate. Like I don't relate to any of that. I don't see this particular thing that way. That doesn't taste like that for me. Or, like whatever the situation may be. And then I think to myself that it feels like the understanding. Like the understanding would be what someone says, this, like you said, this person is so great, and you feel in your heart it's kind of that, what do they call that, like you get a vibe, you get a feeling,
Mhm.
right, when we meet someone at a party or something, or you taste something and you're like, oh, that's so funny, that doesn't taste like that to me.
Yeah.
And so it's trusting, because we so badly as humans want to be accepted. So a lot, this happens all the time. Oh, you've seen that movie, right? Most of the time you haven't seen that movie and you're like, yeah, oh, totally. Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. Just because you want them to continue the conversation. A lot of it's not even now as I'm getting older, or even my friends as they're getting older, we're not even doing it because we want to be accepted anymore. We almost are doing it just because we want to, like, what's the point of where you're going? Because we know it's like us seeing that movie isn't going to really make or break the way that you continue this joke or this or whatever. You'll explain it to me. But so there's this level of like, are we doing it for acceptance or are we doing it just to keep the conversation going?
Mhm. And okay, so this brings up a point. I want
Yeah.
to talk about understanding again versus understanding. The other thing that understanding is that everybody already is who they are
Mm,
before the programming. When you get
right.
the aha moments, when you get that rush of the peace and who you are, that comes up as well as the understanding. The part about being possibly harmed by that other person, that is an understanding also mixed with your past belief systems, just so
Mm,
you know. But you were talking about saying, is it, yeah, I've already seen that movie. That is, let me take a moment just to get this clear.
yeah.
That is you looking at somebody or something with an agenda. You're not in the
Mm,
present moment. You're either living in the past or in the future. And you're in your own head trying to either figure out what they're going to say or how it pertains to you. And when you're in the moment, you have no need to push them forward. You're just enjoying who they are and who
Yes.
you are while you're with them, enjoying who they are.
Mm.
Does that make sense? So
Yeah,
agenda comes into this too, and
r-
expectations and all
and
of those
presence. We
things,
talk a
and
lot about
presence.
presence.
And
Yeah,
presence is in understanding is
presence.
in the moment of presence
Right.
more than
And
any other thing.
understanding is taking so much data into context, whether it be
Yeah.
past or future or whatever. How is this
Yes.
person going to affect me in the future? How has this person affected people in the past?
Yes, you take understanding, you compare it to your past, and
Right.
then you make the decisions that and you set the frequency and the pattern that you're going to move into your future.
Yeah.
And you try to predict the future with it.
Right.
But when
Right.
you but when you
Yeah.
live in the present moment and you live with the moment and the knowing of who you are, you don't need to predict the future anymore. And I know this used to be a sore spot between you and me because you were
Yeah.
like, why doesn't she ever commit to the future? And I'm like, because I'm living right now. I can't
Right.
tell you what's going to happen in the future. I may change my mind. And so often I did,
Right.
if you recall.
Yeah. 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 But
Yeah.
see, for me, it's blending those two together because, again, how in order for me to achieve what I was trying to achieve, I needed to commit to certain things in the future, whether it be a meeting or a practice or whatever, what have you. Um, but also understanding where I was trying to go, and
Yes.
and and as I've gone through my own journey of understanding, like what where I want to go will evolve as I'm evolving,
Yes.
right? And
Yes.
so that and my goals have changed, and not in the sense of like moving the goalpost further, which I was
Hmm.
doing a lot in my 20s, but more along the lines of like maybe it's not even a goalpost anymore.
Hmm.
Like like now all of a sudden like it's a whole different thing.
Yes, and I want to bring up, I want to talk about visualization and future, how you think something's going to happen in the future
Yeah.
versus a lot of people make these plans and they have a goal and they have something in mind that it has to look like this in the future and they work toward that. How
Yeah.
many times when you've approached it that way have you actually gotten what you wanted and have
Right.
it look exactly the same?
Yes.
However, if you're in the present moment, and you can use a visualization technique to bring your future to the present moment and feel it as if it is now, then you're going to have a much higher likelihood of actually experiencing exactly what you want in the future.
Right. Right. The
Because
feeling.
it's everything happens in the present moment,
Yeah.
not just emotionally, but physically. Like I hope I'm going to bring this up how you and I healed our relationship.
Yeah.
For 6 months, I had a future conversation with you and
Yeah.
I did it word for word, verbatim, verbatim. For 6 months, I was in the present moment. I'm like, okay, this is how I want this conversation to go.
Hmm.
And then we had it word for word, verbatim, verbatim. You said exactly what I saw, and it worked.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I did it in the present moment. I did not do it in the future. I didn't do these things to work toward it in the future. I brought it here now
Right,
because
right.
frequency is
Brick by
everything.
brick. Um,
Yes.
I want, yeah, because there's something there that just is such a light bulb that again that we discuss in so many other instances in this community is the feeling when you make it. Because we are imagining our feeling, or not even a feeling, we're imagining what that moment is based on other people's moments, past champions, what they've experienced, them telling us how it feels, and then also just imagining what we're going to get from that, this clout, this status, this value, that kind of thing. And then we've noticed from a lot of champions, once they achieve it, that it does not feel as great as what they thought it would be.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And that what you're telling us now is that is because of that future component of not being present in that moment.
Yes, absolutely. It's all about being in the moment because
Yeah.
frequency and energy do not lie. And if you're vibrating, if you're at this certain frequency now, and you're using that same frequency to build what you're going toward in the future, you can get the high when you actually win. But after that, it's going to drop off and go back to what it was or lower. But
Hmm.
if you build your frequency now and find happiness in the small things of getting to this point,
Yeah.
then when you get to that point, it may not see, actually, it probably won't feel like a big deal because you're already happy. You're already joyful.
Yeah.
You're already doing the things that nurture your soul and nurture your heart and nurture the truth.
Or it's just going to feel like the natural
Exactly.
next
It's
step
just
of
going to
what you've
feel,
been working
yes,
towards.
yes.
Yeah.
And I wanted to let you know too, that visualization technique that I worked on with you for 6 months,
Yeah.
and you had to participate in it too, or else we could not have, all
Right.
relationships have 100% responsibility between each person.
Right.
But I had to do it so long because I never got the feeling and everything that I wanted until the last time, and I was like,
Mm,
that was that I locked it in as if it was if it, as if it had already happened, as if
right.
it was truth. And after that, I knew it was going to happen, and I could drop it because
Yeah.
I was in the frequency. I changed my frequency and got there.
Right.
And before I had been holding all this baggage, and as I was talking to you in these conversations, I was like, oh wait, why do I feel that way? Oh, let me
Mm.
see if this is me and not her. And then I would change myself. And that
Yes,
is
yes,
so
yes.
hard. Humans do not want to be wrong.
No.
And
No.
that's one of the things I keep working on now. I'm like, oh, I was wrong. Oh, and now it's easy to be wrong. But at
Right.
first I was like, I'm not wrong.
Well, right. Well, because, and again, I think that goes back to the identity piece because we have built our rights on
Hmm.
so many bricks of this is who I am, this is what I believe. And so if I'm wrong, does that just shatter my whole house of who I am?
Yes. And I want to
That's
bring
terrifying.
I want to bring the neurological responses to this so that we know where this comes from.
Yeah.
A long time ago, when we were tribal and when we were living and we had to be part of the group,
Mm,
if you got left out of the group, you died because it's very they
mm.
you didn't have the support. You're living off the land all by yourself. You don't have the protection. Wolves
Yes.
come, they take you, whatever. But we still have that primal fear inside of us. And to be wrong could
Right.
push us outside of the group.
Now it's just called social suicide.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
If you're not the popular with the popular kids in school, if you're not with this group or you're not with that group, or you're not accepted at work or you didn't get the promotion, then like they say, it's like you said, you're fed to the wolves essentially.
Yeah. So we're
That's so
all
crazy to make that correlation.
Yeah, so most people walk around in a state of fight or flight all the time, a varying degree of fight or flight. Very rarely do people get out of it and just have a moment where their nervous system, their brain and heart are in coherence,
Mhm.
everything's in coherence, and that again is why you have that peace and like there's nothing wrong because you're out of fight or flight. Your nervous
Right,
system, your body, everything is like, oh, I can breathe. I can let
right.
go of my defenses because I am safe.
Yeah. I am safe.
And
Yeah.
you
Because
can
at the
only be
end of
safe
it
in this
all,
moment.
it comes from safety, a feeling of
Yes.
safety. Yeah. And
Yes.
that I think was the biggest realization for not just me, but a lot of people that work with you is understanding what it is. Now it makes me want to go understanding.
Yeah, it's
But
okay.
no, but you're good. But in the sense of what it is that I'm trying to protect, that
Mhm.
feeling of safety. It's like, why am I being so defensive about this thing that actually makes total sense that I shouldn't be protecting? And it's this, like you said, this fight or flight, this primal instinct, subconscious childhood thing that it's like, yeah, at the end of the day, we all just want to be loved and seen and heard, right?
Yes. Yes. And connected. It goes into
Connected.
being connected. We
Connection, yeah.
crave intimacy with other people. Like, how
Right.
many conversations have you been on where everybody's just talking about something so superficial
Mhm.
and you feel
Or the
alone?
weather.
Yeah, the weather. And you're only there because, you're like, oh, I want to spend time with these people, but you still feel completely and utterly alone. And then you find that one person who you can have this really deep conversation with and you feel seen. When you feel seen by someone, then you trust them. And
Right.
then it feels like you have a connection with them. And that's the intimacy that most people, and
Well,
not
and you
just
don't
seen,
and you
but
don't feel like
accepted
you're
for who you are.
hiding or
Right.
like you have to walk on eggshells. You're not allowed to bring this up at the party.
Right.
Like you can actually say what's on your mind and you can actually say what you're feeling and they connect with that. And if they don't connect with that, they at least accept it.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
And not just that, but you're not afraid that That's why people can tell strangers things they can't tell their family,
Mm.
because a stranger's a safer place because you're not afraid of losing that connection with them.
Right.
You
Right.
know? So it all comes down to we underneath it all, we all love each other. We all want to have real relationships with each other. We want to clearly see other people and we want to be clearly seen and accepted as
Yeah.
well. Because it
Totally.
it's just how we feel best. We are creatures that move away from discomfort and move toward comfort. And
Right.
it's comfortable. Love is comfortable.
Hmm.
Connection is comfortable. Isolation is not comfortable. Um, Dying in disease is not comfortable,
Hmm.
you know?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. So to wrap this up a little bit, because you're talking about connection, all these things, we just had our first official meet and greet at a dance competition with the dance wellness community. And it was so beautiful and healing and lovely. And there were lots of hugs and lots of thank you for saying that, and those types of things, and that's what we're trying to create more of in this community, is instead of just passing each other and saying, oh, so good to see you, what comp are you going to be at next, like very, like you said, filler conversations. We're really trying to feel and connect and be there for each other, and sometimes you have to remove yourself from the ballroom, or just remove yourself from the competition prep mindset and be like, cool, like what do I need in this moment? Sometimes you just need a hug. Sometimes you just need someone to pat you on the back and said you did a great job in your single dances. Sometimes it doesn't even need to be dance related. Sometimes you just need someone to get you a cup of coffee, like
yeah,
whatever it may
yeah.
be. But that being said, how do you feel being more connected and present is going to help us not only be better when we do get back on the competition floor, but is going to help us create sustainability and longevity in wanting to keep being in this industry?
I think that if we come up with certain tools to help that happen, that it's going to be much more successful. For instance,
Mhm,
one of the agreements that I make with all of my friends is I will always assume the best of you and that you love me. And
mhm.
if there's ever any kind of miscommunication, instead of me blaming you, I'm going to assume that you love me and that you didn't mean to hurt me.
Right. And we could
Realizing
discuss
that
it.
anytime
Right.
I feel hurt, it's me interpreting it. And
Mm,
they do the same for me. And
right.
then we can talk about anything. And I, like, for instance, I
Right.
can say, I feel like you're attacking me. And I feel like when you say this, it means that, and I have to be very aware of what I'm saying when I say it. I feel like you're rejecting me and that you're only saying this because you're trying to fool me into thinking that you love me. And I feel unsafe in this relationship right now.
Hmm.
But like I've said that to someone before, and they're like, "Oh, that's really not what I meant." And I have to hear them. I have to be
Right.
willing to hear them because
Yes. And believe
miscommunication is,
them.
yeah, miscommunication is the biggest problem on
Yeah.
this earth. And but because I have my belief systems,
Yeah.
if you listen to what I just said, you will hear some of the false belief systems that I picked up before I was 7 years old.
Hmm.
Go back and listen to it, and you'll see some core things that I used to carry around.
Right.
I don't carry them around anymore because as I'm talking and as I'm saying this, I'm hearing myself saying, "This is how I feel," and I'm projecting that onto you. Thank you
Right.
for being a safe place for me to do that, but I don't want you to take blame for it. I don't
Right.
want you to take this on, but thanks for giving me the safe space to voice this so I can hear what I'm doing to myself.
Yeah.
So if you can set up guidelines in the community where there's safe places and safe
Yeah.
spaces for this kind of communication to happen,
So that's what we're doing. That's
yeah,
exactly what we're doing. That's the safe place for dancers, safe place for athletes, high achievers to come and be vulnerable and
yes,
share what you're feeling. And that tagline that everyone's trending, we listen and we don't judge, that kind of thing. But we're here to support because yeah, I mean, when we're dancing with another partner. So already, like you said, if miscommunication is one of the, biggest things in the world, you've got that happening possibly with your dance partner, with your students and teachers, with your
and with
coaches,
yourself.
with your judges, yeah, with yourself. There's just there's so many places where that miscommunication can occur, that in order for us to really understand what's truly happening and what we all want out of this experience in the first place is to just let's remove some of the lights and the spray tans and the craziness and come back down for a second and feel, why are we all here in the first place, right?
Mhm.
Um,
I love what you're doing.
yeah, thank you. I mean,
Awesome.
honestly, this is just what's helped me see it, is I had to remove myself from the industry for a few years to understand why I even wanted to be in it in the first place. Because for a
Mhm.
while I was like, I'm done here. I don't want to do this anymore. This is exhausting. I'm overstimulated. I don't feel appreciated. I feel like all my efforts are going to nothing. And then when we decided to jump back in to do the photography, I was like, I don't know if I'm ready. And I went to my first competition and I was like, oh my gosh, I feel like a different person here. Like it felt
Nice.
so different. And it felt like all the work I had done on myself outside of the industry on so many other issues, not just about dance related, that had helped me to come back into it feeling more confident and more just more aware of when
Yes.
felt triggered.
Can I say something about that?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
If it's in one area of your life, it's in every area of your
Yeah,
life. And that's
for
what you
sure.
did. You fixed things in other areas. And then when you came back to that area,
Right.
it was already healed there too.
Yeah. And I didn't feel like I owed anyone anything, and I didn't feel like I had to say yes to everything. And I felt appreciated because I was appreciating my value and myself. And so then other people appreciated me for that as well. Because I was honoring myself,
Mm-hmm.
and it's still easy to get lost in that, but like you said, once you know it, it's so much it's you become so much more aware when you're triggered or when that starts to go downhill quickly.
Yes.
you
Yes.
don't you don't get back to that crazy place because you realize, like, you can't, like, you're like, how did I even live in that space in the first place, right?
Absolutely. I want to say one more thing.
Yeah, please.
And this one has helped me probably more than anything else, or not anything else, but it's helped me a lot when I
Mm.
find myself in a place where I'm limited and fighting for it. If you argue for your limitations, you get to keep them. Isn't
Okay,
that cool?
elaborate.
If if you fight for that bad mood, if you fight for your illness, if you fight to never be good enough,
Mm.
if you fight to that people always think you're wrong, if you fight anything that you don't enjoy in your life and you fight for it, which means you defend it and people
Right,
say,
kind of playing what we call a little bit of a victim mentality.
"Yes, yes." If you fight for it, you own it. That's what you're doing when you're fighting for it is you're owning
Yeah.
it based on the past. You're
Hmm.
not in the present and you're projecting it into the future so you get to keep it.
And you're maintaining that low frequency.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And you're
Yeah.
not just the frequency, you're maintaining the entire network that
Mm,
focuses around that.
right. Yeah.
Mhm.
That's crazy. Yeah, it all correlates and comes back to one another to a central point, doesn't it?
Yep.
As much as we don't think, as much as we think everything's complicated and everything has its own thing, it's like, no, it all comes back to the one point.
Yep. And all you have to do is make one tiny little shift and your entire life will change.
Right.
One tiny little shift.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much
Thank
for
you.
being here. This is just tip of the iceberg of how Laura can help you and what she offers, not just in this community, but to everyone around her in her own spaces. And we're just so excited to have you as a part of the dance wellness community. You're definitely filling a need here when it comes to, again, talking about that, raising your vibration and your frequency in the world energetically, rewriting limiting belief systems and all of these things that we're trying to understand on a, again, I would tell my husband all the time too, is like, there were times where when we would discuss certain things that I was not ready to hear them, and so I didn't understand them. And so, because they seem abstract concepts at points, and so when we say some of these terms, it can be sometimes like, well, I don't understand what that means. That's why I tried to break it down a little bit when we were discussing it. But you'll realize slowly but surely that there's like, oh my gosh, wait, I'm doing that. Right. Like that was me. I was like, oh my God, wait, that's me. I'm doing that. Why am I doing that? And so, and then you're like, wait, that's what it's called. That's another thing too, is understanding what it is that you're doing and why you're doing it and the reasoning behind it. And a lot of it comes from that safety and security protection, like what you were discussing earlier.
Yes.
And so understanding that and coming to terms with that, and then realizing you don't have to live like this. That's the big one. It's like,
Yes.
you can understand it. You can start to see what's going on there, and you can reflect in what you're doing in your own life. And then you realize you now have to make a decision. Now that you know this information, you have new information. So now you have to make a new choice. And
Yes.
that's where like a lot of people get stuck.
And you don't have to go through the trauma again. You don't, a lot of people go through the dark night of the soul and do all this shadow work and stuff. And that's one way to do it, but it's not always necessary.
Right.
Because our, again, our power is right now.
Yeah.
So
Owning that power. I'm
Yeah.
big on that
Yeah.
phrase about owning your power, and what does that mean and what does that look like? I think a lot of people interpret the word power in having authority over people, leverage in certain
No.
industries and community. And really it's just
No.
about like, what is it that makes you you? And
Yeah.
how can you share that with the world?
Yeah. I see the power as your umph, the energy and the, like when a rocket goes into space, it's the fire that's like pushing it forward. That's
Yeah.
how I see power.
I love it. I love it so much. For those of you who want to work with Laura, we've got everything in the show notes. She is here in our community. You can connect with her. Our newsletter is out, so you can see all of the wonderful things that she offers and all of, her bio and everything that she does and what she's done. And that is wonderful. We are so excited to have you here. And we are excited to continue to grow this beautiful community with our amazing practitioners, our ambassadors, now our live events. We have in our inner circle, we have our newsletters, we have our live practitioner calls every month, which are amazing, and you get one-on-one attention with our practitioners. It's very, very cool. You can ask questions in our chat room. We've got so many things, and we're just going to keep building and building. I don't really want to say it because my mind is going faster than than anything, and I want so many things are to be done. But we're very excited about how this is going to grow, and we're already seeing so many incredible results with people being a part of it and sharing in these spaces. Because as Laura said, this is the most important part, is creating these safe spaces for people to feel and understand what they're feeling. And that's when you remove yourself from all that chaos, that's what's really, you can actually start to see what's happening. And that is just an incredible, incredible thing, space to be in.
Yes. Thank you so much, Christine. Thank you for everything that you do for this community too, and for being open and willing and for bringing awareness.
Absolutely.
Amazing.
Absolutely. It's my pleasure. And we will see you guys very soon. We've got so much more coming. Stay tuned.
It's too good, the secret is out, and wow.